Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes, randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And someone who's been in a coma more than once in his life, Bob.
Howdy.
Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us, as I'm sure we'll get into discussing the subtleties of actors pretending to be in comas. That means, of course, that today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 3, Episode 5, Till Death Do Us Part, where Walker must face off against the frailties of the human body. But before we drop everything and rush to the hospital bed of a ranger in need, join us as we pull up a seat at CD's Bar and Grill. We got a spicy pickle today, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Oof.
I mean, CD, I think he outdid himself with today's beverage.
Yeah, it's a mix between the obscure and the overexposed.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, what does CD have for us here?
Well, today we've got a brewery collab, and it's a collaboration between a local brewery and someone who's drunk more than his fair share at local breweries, Mr. Guy Fieri himself.
Wow. We're staring at a Flavortown spiked fruit punch made with real fruit, it says. So, I don't know. It's welcoming us to Flavortown on the can, and I really like how they have his frosted hair above the logo on his autograph. Unbelievable.
This is apparently Guy's take on the classic nostalgic fruit punch flavor, and it gets a grown-up redo that features an explosion of fruit flavors, crafted with real orange and cranberry juices. It's not your grandma's fruit punch.
I don't know if Guy knows.
I think there are quite a few grandmas who'd be hitting this down in Florida.
Stumbled upon a People magazine interview with Guy about this very beverage. He says, "You can't say fruit punch and not smile." I don't know. I'm kind of wincing right now.
We'll see what we say tomorrow.
And you can't say Flavortown and not smile. And hopefully you can say Guy Fieri and think good times. The Food Network star tells people. Well, let's crack these bad boys.
yeah.
Oh my God, Guy Fieri just popped out.
Smells good, guys.
It does smell pretty good. This is not nearly as red as I wanted it to be.
No, it is much lighter.
Yeah, it's kind of the color of a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Pretty much exactly what I was expecting. It's so good. Like if you gave this to my little, 7-year-old niece, she'd be like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah, you kind of can't tell there's any alcohol in it. It's
Exactly. It's dangerous.
man.
It's dangerous. It's got like twice as much alcohol as like a Bud Light does.
Well, I gotta say,
that'll wreck you.
I mean, it's a good thing. We might have to get a refill from CD halfway through here, but yeah, this is props to Guy Fieri, on this one. We've had our criticisms in the past podcast, but man, I can't even talk.
So I'll say up front, tastes real good. I'll say that fades real fast. Then you're left with something odd at the end.
There is, yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of too. And you're right. Yeah, there's a bit of.
It's like someone left a little too much ice in the punch bowl.
All right, well, we digress here. We've got a lot to talk about today, but when you're drinking Flavortown, you can't help but talk Flavortown.
I mean, I'm scared to ask, but is there any mail or news we have to discuss here?
Oh, is there ever, Evan? I think first we really need to dig into the online fallout from our last podcast on the episode Fight or Die. We heard from Marshall Teague himself. He said, absolutely one kick butt, take no names, action-packed episode. Love it, Roundhouse Roulette. I guess he tuned into the podcast.
Here's the
He's
question.
not wrong.
Is he talking about the episode Fight or Die, or is he talking about our episode?
He actually shared our post for the episode, and he said, awesome cast, no doubt entertaining breakdown via Roundhouse Roulette. Take a listen. Let me know your thoughts. Dude, Marshall T, he's pimping us out.
He's repping us.
What do you guys think about that? I mean,
That's
dude,
awesome.
Unbelievable. And which begs the question, Evan, do you got that bust up over?
All right,
Dude.
Hold on. Wait.
He's back. And he's
back.
All right, Marshall.
He's got the shades, dude. Oh, yeah, hold on.
Let the record show.
He's got his Chucky ass shades. Oh, nice.
Dude, Bob, you can't not rock both those things together for whatever. Yet the Chucky ass sunglasses with the "Don't Ruffle My Feathers" hat.
I think after this podcast, I'm feeling a little spicy from the Flavor Town. I'm going to head out to the bars, in this getup right here.
If you went down the grocery store, you go down the grocery store aisle in that getup, Bob, you would have it all to yourself.
Dude, if you drop a slice of pizza top down onto the bar floor, when you wear a getup like that, you're allowed to just pick it up and eat it.
Yeah, just pick it up.
You're going in for the bite. But Marshall, Evan does have the bust back up on display. Let the record show. Thank you for helping us get that back out of storage. And he's rocking Chuck Norris sunglasses too. So Marshall was super awesome. He was sharing the podcast up and about. And as you guys can see, I stumbled across like a high-res production image that I ended up using as the still for our post for the episode. And, of course, it's a shirtless Chuck Norris and a shirtless Gage, portrayed by Judson Mills, stirring off the hammer. And let's just say that kind of lit a firestorm in the comments all across social media.
I'm just glad that it wasn't a shirtless Evan next to them. Because we know what social media would do then.
Yeah, they definitely trolled you pretty hard. So, yeah. And it wasn't even your real chest, but
it's a t-shirt.
Tom, he's listed as a top fan. I don't know what that means, but thank you for your fanship. If you are indeed a top fan of ours. Oh no, he's a top fan of Marshall Teague's. Never mind.
Yeah, close enough.
So Tom, he comments on this thumbnail and says, "I'm confused. Where's Randy Macho Man Savage in the photo?"
Because my whole thing was like Macho Man versus Walker is the episode. That's how you described that last episode. But there wasn't really any good stills of Macho Man. So I said back to him, unfortunately, there wasn't a great screenshot to grab of Mr. Savage, but we would not be doing our jobs if we did not showcase shirtless Walker and Gage, presumably after rubbing down with the Vaseline provided by Mr. Teague. Anything else would have been irresponsible. And Marshall Teague chimed in, and he said, truly irresponsible. What a great breakdown of the episode. A lot to cover and or uncover.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marshall Teague's on the level. I think he's on the level.
Yeah, certainly sounds like it. He gets it.
Moving over to Instagram, we heard from Alex Nichols. He said, Teague's famous line in Roadhouse is the stuff of legends. And, I told him as someone with the last name Dalton, we can definitely attest to that. But he also reached out separately, and he's like, I was just talking to a buddy about how I'd love to start a podcast like this, and you guys beat me to it. Well, I mean, there were two before us, and, it kind of took the pandemic for us to try to take it on in a slightly different way. He's a comedian. I checked out some of his stuff. It's good stuff. So go check him out, Alex Nichols Comedy on Instagram, and he's got some cool stand-up clips there. So check him out. Now, when we're looking at oily guys, usually any post about Chuck Norris, right, we only hear from dudes. But we hear from Emily on Instagram. And Bob, what did she say, man?
Peak Gage sex appeal.
Right? I mean,
she's not wrong.
That picture, I got to take a sip of this punch.
Yeah. I got to cool off here a little bit.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I put it out there. I said, how many Walker, Texas Ranger fans had this poster over their bed? Shirtless Chuck Norris, shirtless Gage. And she said guilty as charged.
Amazing.
And somehow Michael Priest upvoted this in some way.
Yeah. I think he was just chiming in just to agree, I think.
Yeah, I think
absolutely. Luke pipes in and he says he and a friend just saw this one and they agreed it's as of yet the crown jewel of season 7. What an awesome episode and a really cool sequel of sorts to Break In.
Now, I looked up that episode, and the plot synopsis looks exactly the same as this one, or very, very close to it. So I wrote it back to him. And, dude, he says, Break-In is awesome. On our scale, it ranked a very, very rare 9.75 out of 10. Dude, you guys are ranking episodes? What? So I looked it up, and Luke is like a film editor, and he's a video guy, man. He's a video professional. And he and his buddy, it looks like, have their own rating system for Walker, Texas Ranger. And click on the link here. Check this out, guys. Like, so they're doing exactly what we're doing. And Alex, like I was saying about Alex, man, there's so many people out there doing it. And it's all awesome, and we support it all. And they have a totally different way of ranking these episodes. And I think since presumably they're not doing a podcast per each episode, they're able to bust through them pretty quick. Yeah. But we'll share a link to their ongoing ranking if you want to check it out on the episode page for this podcast. But the more the merrier. And thanks for chiming in, Luke. Jeff the Lawyer on Instagram says, wow, these guys look good. So muscular, so greasy. So much Vaseline. Walker's pants are so high.
It's true.
Gage looks amazing. Great sex appeal.
All true.
No notes.
True.
Yep. I told him careful not to fog up your computer monitor, Jeff.
Good call.
Lastly, on the socials, we heard from Michael Priest himself, and we have a great interview with him. If you haven't listened to that, since he was interacting on it, I kind of thought I'd reach out to him and see if he remembered anything about Fight or Die, the episode. And he said the camera crew that was like the production crew inside the TV show was just like, it sounds like it was just a hired news crew. He said they were news camera people, got paid by us for both, I hope. So I guess they brought in like a local news cameraman to film the staged fight scenes within the filming of the actual TV show.
Epic.
Helping out the local economy, guys.
Heads up play.
I love it.
Unbelievable. Well, so that's kind of the fallout from our last podcast on Fight or Die, but we got some mail in the mailbag.
Undercover Snake. I'm not going to read into that too much. Subject line, feedback, message. Your intro claims that you review a Walker, Texas Ranger episode every week. It's more like every 2 months. ... Yeah, you might want to change that. Don't get me wrong, I like the show. Just hate the lies.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's ice cold. I think what he wants us to do is go re-edit all our 100 podcasts, the ones that say we were doing it every week when we were. And that's just not going to happen, Undercover Snake.
Yeah, no. I can't believe we used to say that. Why would we back ourselves into that kind of commitment?
I mean, it was locked down. There was no end in sight. We were,
Right.
we were young.
We just
and
assumed
stupid.
we'd be doing this every week for the rest of, until we're done.
Right.
Which, if
now,
we kept up at that pace, we might be done by now.
Undercover Snake, we are sorry, but hope you understand and appreciate you just letting us know when we failed you. Our next letter comes from Zora McBride, and subject line, you all are the best. Just some words of encouragement and some fan appreciation.
Hey, yous guys. My name's Zora. I'm a huge fan. I've been listening since 2022. Just about to check out the mailbag. Congrats on getting to play the immortal theme song for Chuck Walker himself. It's an interesting take.
We should
I hail
call
from
him Chuck
Arkansas.
Walker. That's good.
Chuck, she's combining the two. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I hail from Arkansas, but now live in New Jersey. Like you, I was born and raised on Walker, Texas Ranger, and its inimitable punching and machine gun sound effects. And its reliably nuanced take on such issues as American Indian relations and the role of gospel music in child resurrections. That's a good point. That's a good point. Plus, I'm blind. So hearing you guys gives the play-by-play after watching each episode. It's a perfect way to experience the show. Keep up the great work. Thanks for making exactly the podcast I was looking for. Nice.
Wow.
Hell, we're all looking for. I hope you're feeling better, Bob. Your roundhouse kicked that surgery to the curb. May the eyes of the ranger be upon you.
Nice.
Well, I didn't have any surgery, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for the positive vibes, Zora. After that last one, I feel like I'm just a liar, and I'm just...
No, you're still a liar, but no. Well, no, Bob, Bob went through, a stroke, and that's, you were in the hospital. We didn't really get into the details online, so no, that just makes our day hearing that, and thank you, Zora, for reaching out. Lastly, we heard again from... I think this is Jeffrey the lawyer.
He said he's watching the episode Mayday with his wife who is newly pregnant. Congrats, Jeffrey. Walker is helping a woman give birth. He is an expert in this.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're pretty close to Chuck. I saw the video of you singing the song to him. Can you ask him to come up to Toronto to deliver my child? It was sent from his phone.
Yeah, just so we're clear.
Yeah, I mean, I told him that, look, we were barely able to get close to him to sing him that song with all the restraining orders he has out on us. We're just going to put it out here now into the ether on this podcast. And by the time this podcast comes out, the baby will probably already be here. And Chuck will have already delivered the baby without even knowing that we're putting it out there. Because this is Chuck Norris we're talking about here.
Right.
I mean, I just hope that the name has been agreed upon, that the name for the child, regardless of gender, will be Chuck Norris.
Oh, wait. Yeah, Jeffrey, you better have had this conversation, okay? It's either Alex or Cordell, right?
Or just Walker. I mean, there's plenty of options there.
Oh, yeah, it could be Walker. Or if you're unsure, it could be Gage, and I think that could be male or female. And I'm going to put it out there, too. I was on a trip one time, and it was when I was visiting Nashville. We flew into Nashville, and I was with my friend Kevin Wallach, and I think we were on like one of the right when JetBlue started, and they had the TVs in the back of the seats and stuff. Dude, Mile High Club, Walker, Texas Ranger, were in it because we watched this episode, Mayday, of Walker delivering a baby while, a mile high in the JetBlue flight.
While you were getting it on?
Yeah, me and No.
Isn't that what the Mile High Club is?
No, it's
Correct,
the Walker,
yes.
Texas Ranger Mile High Club.
Okay.
Right. That's what it is.
I assumed it still had something to do with that. No?
I don't know. But all I'm saying is I watched Walker, Texas Ranger while on a plane. Well, before we get into the episode here, we want to give a thank you to Nathan Shepard, who picked up a Chuck Norris Undercover Agent 1986 action figure from our website and paid for a month of hosting on Roundhouse Roulette. And he's got a badass Chuck Norris action figure to do that with, And we thank everybody who's done that, and it really helps the podcast and, just helps us keep the lights on here. Oh my gosh, this punch.
Take another swig.
I'm going to take another hit. Really helps us keep the lights on here at Roundhouse Roulette headquarters.
All right, well, we got a lot to cover this week. Let's get on into it. If you're watching along at home and don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch Walker Season 3, Episode 5, Till Death Do Us Part. And then come right on back to us, if you dare. Welcome back. Let's dig in. This episode originally aired on October 22nd, 1994. And it opens on bad music and bad driving.
And before we get into this here, I don't know if you saw it flash across your screen, but this episode was co-written by Sheree J. Wilson.
Indeed.
Right. And I've been holding on to this interview clip that she did for Get TV, and she talks about this episode. She says, I actually wrote one episode of Walker. I co-wrote it with a dear friend. We got into the show, and after several episodes, I was like, these writers don't know who our characters are. They have no idea what our backstories are and what we mean to each other. So I came up with a storyline that Walker gets thrown into a coma, and CBS said, no way, we're not putting our hero into a coma.
Mm.
And I said, no. He's going to be in a coma, but everybody's going to visit him at his bedside, and you're going to find out in flashbacks how we all met. it was the top 10 or one of the highest rated episodes. She said, I'll have to brag about that.
Nice.
Go figure. And she said, she called out this episode Till Death Do Us Part. So just a little insight into this episode before we dig into it. And shout out to Sheree J. Wilson for giving us a little, maybe a little bit of Walker lore. We'll get into that when we get into the podcast here. But just to set us up, I thought we'd read that first.
No, thanks. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a take. I mean, this is certainly like the show hasn't been around long enough for them to do like the dreaded clip episode, but this one does do a lot of flashbacks, a lot of exposition, and I think it's interesting that the show was at a point where they were comfortable enough doing that, and they felt the need to include the backstory.
No doubt.
So this one picks up with Alex and Walker cruising down the highway. Walker's truck, no AC. That fits.
Tough.
He likes it musty.
Yeah, so she opens up the window and her papers go everywhere because she's preparing for an arraignment. And Walker's the star witness.
Yep, and she's like, we're not going to make it on time, Walker. Drive fast. And he's like, we'll get there when we get there, babe.
I mean, he's already clocked out at that speed how long it would take to get from point A to point B. So by adhering to the safety guidelines of the state highways, the speed limits, I think he's already figured that out. They'll get there on time.
Right. And Walker, he's so perfect. He actually doesn't ever have to go to the bathroom either. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
No. His bladder holds 4 gallons when necessary.
Yeah. So they're driving, and while they're driving, a muscle car, a yellow muscle car with like a spoiler on the front, just peels around and starts weaving through traffic. Right?
Yeah, that's not a spoiler though. That's a supercharger. All right.
Yeah,
they make that pretty clear later on in the episode.
Come on, dude, now, and it's a Camaro. All right,
guys, I don't know anything about cars. Although I'm learning by drinking this Flavor Town
and watching Walker.
So yeah, a crazy Camaro comes along. Now I feel like we need to broach the topic pretty early on of the music in this episode because it's season 3. We've got the sort of the weird, dark, almost primal theme, right? Which at the end
they quote. They
kind of pull from it. It's interesting.
I never heard. I noticed that too. They actually brought the theme back of the theme song at the end of the episode. Excellent.
But there's some real sort of like dark, kind of dank synth noises going on here.
Ethereal.
Right. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. The guy in the closet with his Yamaha DX7 keyboard was just going to town on this episode.
It's crushing it.
Very, very different from many other episodes we've seen. Unique.
So this Camaro comes up in the rear view and then completely cuts off Walker and is just weaving uncontrollably through highway traffic. Causes a container truck to pull off the side of the road, and causes an accident as it drives past. Walker pulls over and calls in a hit and run, which anyone out there who's familiar with like cop coding, what would you even call that?
I don't know. Be like a
police
1090
call sign or whatever. Is there not one for like reckless driving, reckless endangerment with a vehicle? Because he was calling it a hit and run, but the Camaro never hit anybody. But the Camaro did get away while the traffic was all tied up.
He caused a hit and then he ran.
There. Yeah,
there it is.
Okay. All right. Well, this is my new show. Let's move on here because there's a lot to dig into here.
It sure is. So anyway, a little bit of a car chase. Bob, how'd you rate this car chase?
Well, I'll tell you, it started off a little rough because I think Walker could have handled that initial off-road thing a little better. I feel like he was distracted.
Agreed.
And distracted driving.
He's like he had a lady in the car with him, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's where the distraction came from, but yes.
I was kind of disappointed. We'll put it that way.
This is early Walker, Bob. I mean,
I know. It's a little more human, I guess, in these episodes.
I will say this episode is a lot more grounded than the show becomes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. But so yeah, he gets knocked off the road a little bit in that initial transaction, and I was actually watching this and saying, "Please end an explosion," and and as if on cue.
Yeah.
How does it happen? How's the explosion even happen? Okay. Oh yeah. So in the middle of this car chase, we're introduced to like a mom driving like a sedan with her baby in the back seat. And
like
then
a toddler in the back seat, and the toddler has to go pee.
It's never good when we get introduced to people in their cars during this car chase.
It's never a good sign.
Usually end well for them. So
Right.
And so this car is like whipping around, coming up to it, and how does the Camaro hit their car? How does this physically happen? I didn't rewind and go through this, but the framing on this and the editing on this must have been masterfully done. Because I didn't question it.
I think they swerved and hit a car that had already swerved, maybe. Regardless, there's a bit of an explosion.
Mm-hmm. And in the sedan carrying the mom and the baby goes up on the edge of a bridge over a shallow creek.
Yeah.
That's what they say it down there, right? That's how they say it? Creek?
That's how they say it down south, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
So
That's a small brook or river.
Correct.
Anyone else? Yeah, correct.
And it's kind of balancing this car
Perfectly balanced. Perfectly balanced on the edge.
down the middle like a seesaw. And the mom's in the front seat going crazy, like, "Oh, my baby's in the back seat. I don't want to fall over and fall over onto this." Essentially hitting rocks if they fell down because the water's so shallow. So Walker and Alex pull up, of course, and the muscle car gets away. And because Walker's tied up, I mean, he's got to go in and try to get the mother and the baby out of the back seat. And the mother doesn't want to leave, but Walker's like, I got this. And I mean, Evan, would you?
I would like to break this down.
Yeah, you could do. 'Cause Evan, if Matilda was in the back seat, would you trade spots with Chuck Norris?
No. So the way the car is set up, it's like the front of the car is on the bridge, and the back of the car where the kid is hanging over the bridge. Okay, and it's like they're clearly when they make the shot, like some people on the crew are like shaking the car to make it during the shot to make it like teeter back and forth. But like Walker reaches in, he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get you out first," to the mom, and it's like, if like one other person just came and sat on the hood of the car, it would tilt. It would tilt onto the bridge, and then you'd be fine. Instead, what he decides to do is remove some weight, i.e., the mom, from the front of the car. That's actually keeping the car from sliding off the bridge, and so he takes her out first.
Yeah,
it's like that doesn't make any sense.
Wouldn't you do it the other way around? You would have been all good.
Well, you couldn't easily get to the back seat, but what he could have done is told the mom to ride shotgun, adding more weight to the front while they got the kid out. Then get the mom out.
Now you're thinking, Bob. Now you're thinking. That's
hindsight's 20/20, guys.
Bob, I think I don't know. I think you would be a good parent, Bob. That's all I'm saying.
Now, all that being said, I will say Walker's ability to get a child out of a car seat is God level. Yeah, that is not easy, particularly a distraught child.
He pulls her out, spots with her, but at one point, no one was in that front holding the weight down. So I would have thought that the car would have gone over then, but
right.
He gets in and he's reaching to the back seat to try to undo the car seat, and his just reaching into the back seat is making the car lilt further backwards, so he has to go back to the front, and somehow he gets her to come to the front. He passes the kid out the front window to Alex, and as he does that, we are treated to a slow motion fall of Walker in this sedan, flipping over, and at first I was like, oh, it's just going to go into the water because we aren't really set up very well.
Yeah, we hadn't seen what was down below.
Right. And so it falls down and it goes not like the bottom is up and it smashes on like the hood of the car into rocks like off a bridge.
It's like a mud flat.
Yeah, some water, but yeah, not much.
And Walker's not buckled in, but even if he was buckled in, that's scrambled eggs. You know what I'm saying?
It's a tough spot.
Not great. Not great.
Yeah. And
Credits.
we are all just like, what?
Yeah.
Credits.
Totally taken off guard here. Goes straight to the credits. Like, what are we doing here? Again, we're not a political podcast here, but, you know, was he put in that situation by climate change? I mean, if they weren't in a drought, water level would have been higher. He would have been able to get out. Softer landing.
I don't think climate change existed in the 90s. I think because didn't Al Gore invent it?
He might have done that.
In 2000?
Good call, Bob. Good call, Bob.
So this is
never mind.
Pre-climate change.
Never mind.
Yeah, or it could have been they didn't have the dam open. Maybe that was it. And needless to say, you know, Alex screams, and after commercial break, they're all running towards this car to see Walker's should be smushed body in the car, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Alex, she takes a header while going down there. She kind of flips over and
eats it.
Yeah, she's a mess trying to get Walker out of this thing. Her reaction is realistic, but maybe not the greatest for Walker's health, which is to grab him and start yanking on him to get him out of the vehicle.
You gotta look out for the neck injuries, guys. That was one thing that kind of...
Yeah, they definitely, in this segment here, they definitely, you know, in the Boy Scouts were taught not to deal with the spine and keep people's limbs and head straight if you're going to try to move somebody who's been in that kind of situation. But, I mean, they pulled him like Gumby out of the back of that
Yeah, they just
car.
grabbed one person on each limb and just swinging them around. Just,
Yeah, so the EMTs, they show up and they're basically just like, well, get him out before it blows. And so, yeah, they grab him like by the belt and by like the shoulder, and they just like wrench him out of the vehicle. And then like, how many people would you say are carrying him at a time, like at the same time, like 5 people maybe are carrying him?
It's an awkward carry.
But then they put him down. They put him down.
No. So they're carrying him away from the vehicle and in dramatic fashion as they're carrying him away. No one looks back, but the vehicle explodes in the background. It's one of those shots.
I'm so ashamed to admit that I did not see that coming. Even though the car had some smoke coming, it was like sort of on fire when it was down there.
Yeah.
I should say, I saw it coming the second that the shot went to slow-mo. As they're all walking away.
Yeah,
then I knew,
like,
but that was only like
slow-mo.
a second before it happened.
Right. So what we're dealing with here, and we're a little rusty. We're dealing with Walker physics, right?
Yeah.
So the car on the fulcrum or whatever, it doesn't act like, you know, a car normally would. But then they're asking us to suspend our disbelief when the car lands on its top after it falls off a bridge and doesn't instantly explode. Now, in
Walker's
most episodes, it would, right? But Walker's in there.
Right.
Well,
So he's got like a little force field around him, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
But once he was removed from the car, then it blew up.
Yeah,
so that's probably what it was. He was the pin. He was the pin in the grenade.
His force field was keeping them from being hurt by the explosion behind them.
That is also true. Yep.
All I gotta say is this slow-mo run of the paramedics and Alex carrying Walker with the explosion behind him is definitely the still for this episode.
Like all of his because 5 people are carrying him, like all of his limbs in his head are like he's like a marionette. He's moving.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he
And he's completely unconscious too, right? That was the other thing. So like, if he had broken bones or anything, like he wouldn't be able to tell them
out.
that they're ruining.
But you know what? He probably on you know, like when they say like if you have alcohol, you're a little looser, and you're he might have had some Flavortown fruit punch on lunch. And it could have protected his spine because he was just so relaxed when he hit the ground.
Anyways, they one of the EMTs assesses him. They say, yes, obviously comatose. Let's go.
I love that.
And so they put him on the stretcher, throw him in a helicopter.
But yeah, before all that, they were like asking Alex all these like personal like health questions too.
Yeah,
right. And of course they're like, does he have any allergies? I mean,
it's
any
Walker.
Walker watcher by season 3, we know the answer to any of these is no.
Yeah.
Right, dude.
We any health issues? No. God,
she says he's in perfect health.
Is he taking any medications? No, unless you count cedar smudges.
Flavor Town Fruit Punch, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. So yeah, I just thought it was funny that they were like peppering all these questions, and she was like, "Oh no, he's like in perfect health.
He's a specimen."
Yeah, exactly. So they get him onto the chopper and take him to the hospital, and I will say we're slowing this whole thing down, but it was very briskly paced, and I did feel like there was some good tension and suspense as this was going on, even though we know they're never going to kill Walker.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
yes, they med flight him to the hospital, and then we get to see the attending doctor or surgeon or whatnot that's in the emergency room, and he comes in like a suit and tie. He doesn't even have time to put his lab coat on, and he's just like barking out all these orders. He gives off like serious like dweeb vibes.
mm-hmm.
And he starts barking out all these letters and stuff, all these acronyms. He's like,
lots of buzzwords.
Did you get the ABGs? How about the CBCs? You gotta get those stat. And at the time, I was like, yeah, okay, this is like total BS or whatever. But I actually looked it all up, and it's all very well researched and vetted.
All right.
Wow.
It's all legit.
Okay.
Yep.
Sheree. Excellent
Everything
work,
he says.
Sheree.
Alex is watching, and he even lifts up Walker's arm above his head and then drops his hand onto his face, which looks hilarious and is worthy of a gif. And then Alex is like taken aback, and he's like, "Get her out of here." Which makes you think like, man, this guy's like totally lost his mind. But no, that's actually a standard test to determine if someone's faking a coma, actually. So if someone's faking a coma, they won't let their hand hit their face.
Right. Huh.
So
Wow.
he was doing everything. It was like
Everything was out of the book? Okay. And the actor who plays that doctor, the smarmy doctor who apparently did it by the book, is the airplane pilot in the episode Skyjacked.
Anyways, so, things are pretty touch and go, but they kind of stabilize them. And CD and Trevette, they show up, and the doctor's asking for the next of kin, and they all claim to be his next of kin.
That's us.
And he's like, we're the family you're going to have to deal with, partner.
And he's like, well, he's in a coma. It's a grade 3 or grade 4. It's about as bad as it gets. Oof. But, he's stable.
Right.
And they're like, well, can we see him? And he's like, yeah, if you talk to him, it's shown that, if you treat them like they're there the whole time, then they might recover faster.
Right.
And they're like, so we can see him? And he's like,
for a minute.
For like a minute.
Just a second.
Wait a second.
We don't want to get better too fast here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we got 45 minutes to fill here.
So they go and talk to him, and CD, this is where the exposition really happens. And this was, Sheree J. Wilson's plan was to learn sort of a bit more of the backstory. And so, we learned that CD knows all about Walker's upbringing, and he sort of cites, and we get this little flashback of young Walker getting dropped off at the res with Uncle Ray.
Yeah, Uncle Ray is his, I guess, a Native American uncle, because Walker is half Cherokee in the show, and supposedly Chuck Norris is as well in real life. But after Walker's parents were killed, Uncle Ray took him onto the reservation, and we're seeing that in this flashback. And we see a young, bratty Walker, I would say, right?
Very much so, yeah.
What does he say? Like, he says,
Uncle Ray's like, I'm so happy that you've come back to be with your people. And young Walker's all like, white people are my people.
oh my! I kind of was like, whoa, okay,
like, oh,
yeah. The little kid's like, white people are my people.
Yeah.
and we're like, what? And then Uncle Ray's like, don't worry, we're not going to take your stuff, is what he says.
Pretty
something
much,
like that.
yeah.
Here's the lore that we get from this scene, because Uncle Ray then calls Walker Washoe. And in previous podcasts, we have asked, what does Washoe mean? And Walker asks him what that means. And what does it mean?
According to this episode,
Right.
Yeah.
According to this episode, I can neither confirm nor deny whether this is true.
Right.
But apparently the term washo means, I'm assuming in Cherokee, because that's the reservation that they're on. It apparently means a lone eagle, which makes a lot of sense. That's why
it checks out.
he can get eagle vision. That's why he identifies with the eagle.
And he was orphaned, so he is a lone eagle.
He got Batmaned. So instead of lone bat, he's a lone eagle. So he's like a diurnal predator.
And then they walk off, and that flashback is over. So that was kind of the backstory we got. Flashback, back to normal times here.
Trevette's all like, I can't stay here. I got to go try to find this Camaro.
Right.
Got to find it. Are we really going to like stop everything? They get like the highway patrol, everyone out looking for this car. Is it, I mean, it's reckless endangerment. They didn't kill anybody.
Evan, if a Camaro put me in the hospital and you didn't go out and try to search for every other Camaro, I would be pissed and I would haunt you for the rest of your life.
Right, but like I wouldn't have the authority, and no law enforcement body would scramble all resources to do the same.
Well, that's why you would have to go take it upon yourself to do it, because the authorities wouldn't do it.
You'd have to go lone wolf or maybe lone eagle.
I'd be a lone eagle.
You'd be a lone washo, and that's exactly what Trevette's doing, because he knows resources are strapped. So he's like, I'm not going to let this Camaro slip through my fingers when Walker's in the hospital. He's my boy.
No. But then he goes and investigates a false lead here, and they've got a yellow Camaro pulled over, and the highway patrol pulled it over. So they have used some resources here, and Trevette's like, "Why'd you do it?" And he like gets the guy driving the car, and the cops are like, "Wait. This isn't the right one. They've got an alibi, and this is the second yellow Camaro we've pulled over already."
Right. This one, it didn't have the supercharger either, so I knew right away.
Right. Not the right one. Granted, if it's 1994, you're driving a yellow Camaro fast down the highway in Texas, you're probably all going to look relatively the same, right?
True. Yep, that's fair.
You might look like a bad guy from a Walker episode, and that's what this guy looked like.
You think this is auto profiling?
Very much so. He had the denim. He had the denim shirt. A little bit of scruff. And when they, spoiler alert, when they do find the people who have the Camaro, he kind of looks just like those people.
Yeah, so they're like, Trevette, cool down. This is not your guy. And he just kind of peels off, pissed.
Anyways, back at the hospital, CD has gone to Alex's place and brought her a change of clothes.
Oh my gosh, this.
But it's awkward because he's a Southern gentleman at heart. Right. And didn't have the nerve to go into her unmentionables drawer and actually get her probably what she really wanted the most, which was a change of the undergarments, particularly since he describes her as gamey.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty
well.
rough.
No, my understanding was he did go into her underwear drawer, and she calls him out on it. She goes, "Were you able to get everything that I needed?" He's like, she's like, "Panties," and he goes, and it's just like awkward, and he goes, "I think I got everything that is required." So he kind of says like, "Yeah, I did go into your underwear drawer."
All right,
So
I'm pulling
picture
up the
that.
replay here. This is an important.
We're gonna put up
detail.
We'll put up the audio on this, but this dude, CD was rooting around Alex's underwear drawer. That is backstory, and mind you, this wasn't some pervy guy who wrote this episode that put this in there. This was Sheree J. Wilson herself.
Ellie, you'll want to look your best, honey, when he comes around. You don't have to bother with the cleaners. You're pretty gamey.
Find everything, CD.
I think I got everything. I think I got everything that's required.
Bra and panties.
No.
I'll be in the nurse's lounge.
Wash behind your ears, honey.
Whoosh behind your ears.
Yeah, no, I took that to mean that he's like, no, I did get in there. I mean, he's
I
not
don't
gonna,
know.
you're not going to go
Unconfirmed.
get stuff in for people and not get what they need. You know what I mean? CD's, he's a Texas Ranger. He knows how it's done.
He's thoughtful. Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
He's not going to leave her hanging.
I mean, all right. Well, I think unconfirmed. I'm not
Okay.
convinced.
Well, listeners, you heard it. Let us know what you think about that.
Yeah. Well, regardless, CD shows his southern gentleman status by turning the other way when a nurse comes in and shoots up Walker's butt with some sort of medication, which then immediately causes Walker to seize up, and then they've got to get the crash cart in, and so they move him onto the crash cart. And this is sort of the extent of Chuck Norris's acting throughout most of the episode, which instead of just laying in bed doing nothing, he's arching his back and sort of pseudo-grunting. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on his seizure?
Well, I couldn't really wait for you guys to weigh in on this. I mean,
I throughout this whole episode when he was in a coma, I felt like just looking at him, I'm like, he's just trying so hard to keep his eyes closed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking at him like, he looks like he's just sitting there trying to keep his eyes closed. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
I don't know how many
description.
examples of him like opening his eye or doing anything at all. He was pretty much, still, but
yeah,
it
but
just had this
I mean,
weird feeling about it.
I'm just going to say it. I mean, did you guys notice that difference from his normal acting abilities?
No.
No. Pretty much on par. It made sense.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much you think it would kill the vibe of the episode, him being in a coma, but it was pretty much like every other episode of him doing his thing.
So now we get finally see Walker in action here, and this is through after they stabilize Walker again. CD tells the story about back when they were partners, and we get to see the dynamic between the two of them. So they're shaking down a group of rustlers.
Yep, they're all on horseback. There's like a horse chase. So this is technically the second chase in the episode, right?
I did chalk this up as a car chase because horses are the OG car.
Cars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think we see a lot of shots with Walker's face obscured to have stunt double Kenny Gibson do all the dirty work in this scene.
Yeah.
I don't know though. There's this scene where Walker knocks one guy off a horse. He's following like 3 or 4 guys, and CD's got 2 of them he's following, and they split up. Walker then basically incapacitates anyone who's on a horse. So basically just knocking people off into ponds, or in one case he's got a rope and he lassos a dude.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where it's definitely Chuck Norris riding a horse with a lasso rotating over his head. I mean, pretty good.
No, yeah. I mean that skill alone was definitely Chuck Norris doing that. But I remember thinking that Chuck Norris actually jumped off a horse and knocked a guy off a horse, and then immediately got up and sparred with him. But there's a clear edit before it goes to the shot. It's from behind when he jumps and knocks him off. Edit, and then they're on the ground, just fisticuffs. Mm-hmm. So I'd wager it was probably his stunt double who did the jumping off the horse.
I didn't really consider that a fight because he just kicked the dude. The guy didn't throw any punches. So
Yeah. Takes 2 to tango.
There it is, yeah. And then meanwhile, so Walker's taking all these guys out in this flashback, and CD is like chasing some guy, and he gets into the woods a little bit and falls off his horse and presumably breaks his leg.
he broke his leg, yeah. And he lost his gun, man.
And they try to make CD look a little younger in the way they grease his hair and maybe colored in his beard a little bit, right?
They do. Yeah. I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it did kind of work. And it was a darker woods, so it was like more believable.
Yeah.
So props to the makeup crew on that. But yeah, he's kind of like, oh no, like I don't have my gun and my leg's broken, and there's like 5 cowboys out here running around, bad guys, and he sees this horse come up, and he's like, oh no, like the bad guys found me. And who is it? Walker.
Yep. Walker's got all the guys tied up, and he splints up CD's leg.
And
Legend.
yeah, and CD's like, how did you find me?
And Walker does mention some mysticism of some named wind of the lost.
is it the spirit of the wind?
Yes.
Is that what
Yeah.
it meant?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used his Native American powers to locate CD.
Again, though, like we see him using that elsewhere, but he never explains it. So
Yeah.
No, I mean, no explanation necessary, honestly.
yeah. Anyways, come back to the real time, and CD's like, well, he had my back, so I'll always have his. Meanwhile, Alex is in the hospital room after they stabilized Walker, and she's working on this case. Now, the problem is that the case is all riding on Walker's testimony, right? And so she's trying to come up with other ways or other charges that she can levy on these people to bring them to justice. And so she's really cooking the books here, trying to make ends meet. And she starts having a little bit of a reminiscing of the first time she ever met Walker.
Right.
It was in a courtroom when she was a young prosecutor.
And she's fiddling with her papers at the prosecution desk, and the judge calls her next witness, who is Cordell Walker, and he hits the stand, and he's looking dapper. He's got his Texas tie on, and she doesn't really see him because she's still like fishing for her papers while readying her questions, and then she locks eyes with him, and there's this little moment.
And, the fireworks fly because she basically accuses him of lying on the stand, which he takes umbrage to.
Right.
Because
I'm your witness. I'm your witness.
I know, but she doesn't think he could single-handedly take out 7 people.
And obviously this is an origin story of their meeting, because pretty soon she's going to know that, dude, that's just all in a morning's work for Walker.
Right. How many people can fit in a truck bed?
He's tested the limits of that multiple times. And so they have this back and forth, and they just kind of frustrate each other, right? And
yeah.
And that's the end there? Is that what happens?
It does, yeah, I think so.
And then it kind of flashes back to her over Walker in the hospital bed, and she's like, "Oh, well, that was really weird for us to meet that way." But okay.
And we get to see Trevette, and he's he's working on the case
in Ranger headquarters.
in the Ranger headquarters,
Yeah,
and we get to see his own little flashback here. Which,
he stares over at Walker's desk, and he's like, you can see the wheels turn in the writing, and it goes, Walker, how did we first meet? We get this,
It's my turn. It's my turn for a flashback.
and it flashes back to when he was a police officer. I don't know. It could be Dallas. It could be Baltimore. It's probably in Dallas because, as we'll see, Chuck shows up. But there's like some sort of riot, almost maybe like the new Mac desktop computer came out. What were they called? The
iMac.
The Macintosh word processor just came out, and there were people fighting in line for that. And there were police, and they were trying to hold these people off, and a lot of flannel and let's just say bandanas being worn by the guys throwing punches, and the police are trying to hold him back. And Trevette's one of the policemen. He runs after somebody, goes down an alley, and he's ambushed by like 4 guys in denim, flannel, and bandanas, and they knock him to the ground. And there's like graffiti on the walls over the place here. It's like gang wonderland. There's a barrel. What does it say on the barrel? Spray painted.
Why me? The whole vibe of this city scene is very much. It feels like RoboCop.
Yeah, it's like a hellscape.
Really hellscape, like dirty city.
Yeah, postmodern hellscape, circa early '90s.
Yeah.
And so. They're about to take Trevette out and presumably maybe kill this Trevette as a cop. He's on the ground, and kind of like Tim Burton style, we see Walker coming.
You can't fight now, can you?
Right.
And then you hear Walker go, "But I can."
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get this Batman shot of him standing in the alley with the lighting dark but just right, and
Fog
they're like,
machines.
they're like, "What are you?"
And he basically just like completely owns these people. Roundhouse kick into submission.
Oh man, this was
Lots
probably
of crates.
the highlight of the episode was him just manhandling these guys. You know, he just waits for them to create a circle around him so he can just systematically roundhouse kick in a circle and take these guys out, knocking them into crates.
That's like the sprinkler move. It's just all in a circle.
Yeah. Perfecto. And Trevette kind of wakes up after Walker takes him out and sees Walker walk down the alley, and he sees the Ranger badge because weirdly, whoever edited this or colored this had like a red splotch right over the badge, so you could definitely see the badge. So he saw it was a Ranger who saved his life, but are we to assume it's that exact moment that he didn't know it was him? He must have known it earlier.
No, he said I didn't even know until he became my partner or something. Yeah.
that it was the same guy.
I didn't know it was
Didn't
him until
even-
I became a partner.
Didn't even know it was you until after we became partners.
You know, Walker
But
saved his
you know
life.
who did know it was him? Walker.
Walker. Yep, there it is. Yep.
Wow. He's like, yeah, you were just one of the many people I've saved.
Yeah,
in my life.
everyone gets one. Next morning, Trevette gets a little breakthrough. He interviews the truck driver that was driven off the road. And this is a rare piece of detective work we see, which is pretty basic because he also could have asked this question of Alex to describe the vehicle other than a yellow Camaro. But the truck guy was like, oh, yeah, it had a supercharger on it.
Right.
And Trevette's like, oh, okay, that's very good. Okay, that's very good.
And the truck driver was really kind of weird, dude. He was wearing like a train conductor's hat, and his character name was Mike McDonald. So I had to just put that out there.
That's what a fool believes right there.
Exactly.
So now Trevette's able to run a search for yellow Camaros with superchargers, of which apparently there's only one.
Well, I mean, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, maybe that might be believable for a sports car like that.
Anyways, he finds that, and that's like his big break. Meanwhile, Alex is spending more quality time with Walker, and we get to see their first kiss.
Right, and she set up her office essentially in his hospital room, right? And she's having all these flashbacks as she's looking at paperwork for her case, and so we flash to CD's Bar and Grill, and Walker walks up to the bar, and it must have been like pretty soon after they first met on the witness stand, and Walker's frustrated, going off. He's like, I can't believe about that assistant DA, you know. She drive me crazy, and she's so bullheaded, you know. And CD goes, yeah, I've heard that. She said the same thing about you. And before we know it, she walks around the corner and accidentally bumps into Walker. And they go, you? And in the background, we realize, oh, I think this is New Year's Eve, right? They have like the music going on, like Old Lang Syne, all that stuff. And they kind of get into a little altercation and just like yelling at each other, like, I can't believe you made me look like an idiot. You blah, blah, blah. And Old Lang Syne finishes, and Walker goes, time to go in for the kiss without consent.
with a DA.
Right. Go on, read me my rights.
And Walker, let's just say he takes the ADA and applies some PDA.
Oh, yeah. And he read the room because she was into it. She was definitely into it.
And then walks off in a huff. But New Year's Eve, right at New Year's, that's the only time that you can do that.
Right. You can kiss anybody you want up in there.
That's again, this
Walker
only physics.
kiss. Yeah, only kissing, but you can kiss whoever you want.
Yeah, so Trevette, he wrangles up CD, and CD's like, I don't know if you got the right guy. And Trevette's like, no. This guy, they got the only supercharger Camaro in Texas. They live in this impoundment in an estate 11 miles from where the accident happened, And everyone says that they're up to no good and only care about themselves. By the way, they're called the Harris brothers. At that point, it's like, oh yeah, these are the bad guys.
The Harris brothers. Okay.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah. Dude.
So they go there for a little shakedown and, do a little search. Not sure they got a search warrant, but
Well, I think they said they did.
They kind of skirt around that. And they go to search this place, and there's some sick fake slap bass. Just
Keyboard.
It's like someone took their cat and put it on a Casio keyboard with the slap bass.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bing, bing, bing,
And they pull up to this like
bang,
Texas
bang.
mansion, and I guess this guy comes out and he's like, "What are you doing here, honey? Get my lawyer on the phone. You can't be here." And they're like, "Well, we got a warrant." So, and the wife comes out with the phone, and her hair is like a mile high. It's like one of the B-52s.
It was unbelievable hair. Incredible hair.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah.
best.
And he's like, "My lawyer's going to have a field day with you. You're not going to have a job." And they're like, "Well, we're just looking for the car, so if you'll show us to this car, we'll be all set. We've got a warrant." And before they can even get past that, Sam Williamson, our previous guest recently, is driving this hot-rodded car out of the garage, supposedly trying to get away because he's a bad guy. And what does he drive into? Like a windmill or something?
It's great police work all around. They show up and the guy's like, "What are you guys doing here?" Which reasonable question.
Fair.
They're like, "We're here looking for that yellow Camaro of yours." And he's like, "Do you have a warrant?" And they're like, "We're gonna find it." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get my lawyer on the phone." They hear a car engine start and the garage door start to open. So they get behind a tree and draw their weapons.
Yeah, they pulled the guns out.
Before you even see the car.
Right, and Trevette gets a shot off on the car, and maybe he
shoots
popped
the
a tire.
car.
Yeah, he might have popped a tire, and then let's just assume that's what happened.
It
And
looked
then
like he was shooting at the windshield, honestly, but
Well,
okay,
no.
sure.
Well, shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah.
That's
So
what.
they,
still
they
fired
hit
up.
they hit like a light post.
Right.
And so their car's incapacitated, and Trevette's like, "You take the passenger, I'll take the driver." And they basically wrestle them out of the car, and that's when we realized that it's Sam Williamson in his first Walker role, probably, right?
Maybe. And Trevette pins him to the ground, and he's like, just like,
"Daddy!"
yeah, he goes, "Daddy." They even
Get this
they
creep
call
off
him.
me.
I think they even call him like rich teens when they were talking about the brothers. Oh yeah, they're just rich teens that cause trouble. So it's like,
Harris brothers.
yeah. And so he's kind of doing that and this, and Trevette just cuffs him, gets him to the ground, and he screams for daddy. It's pretty awesome.
So now we see Alex, and she's talking to Walker, and she's getting in real close, and she's holding his hand, and it's a really awkward shot because it's like half Walker's face, half Alex's face, and she's all like, "Oh, Walker, it's just, if you were awake right now, you know what I want to be doing, and I know what you want to be doing, and we'd be doing it together, and, it would be so nice, and it's so, we'd just be together, and you know what we want to be doing."
I think she goes running wild on the beaches of Tahiti.
On the beaches of Tahiti. It's like, pretty sure you haven't spoken about that one.
So as soon as she says, "Hey, running wild on the beaches of Tahiti," dude, he comes back awake.
Yeah.
Bro's
He's
awake. He's like, running
promises. I'm going to hold you to that.
wild. And we're like, "Oh, boy's back. Walker's back."
He can open his eyes now.
Yeah.
Right.
Was there ever any doubt, though? I mean,
So maybe if she was talking dirty to him earlier, he would have waken up earlier.
Possibly.
Yeah. So maybe that'd be a lesson, because I know they researched a lot of the stuff, like you said, that they got all the medical dropping the hand on the face and stuff. Well, we've learned that dirty talk can actually resuscitate a a patient.
You give this a shot.
Yeah.
I'll be in the corner.
Right. Yes. We won't listen in. But needless to say, it worked on Walker, and I mean, Sheree,
It did,
excellent
so,
work.
and the
work.
family was all in. CD, Trevette, they all came in, and he's like, "Don't you guys have anything better to do?" And CD's like, "Today we don't."
Boom. Yep. And they're just one happy family again. That's great. But we didn't really get a good joke in. So we flash to a gym where
This is the highlight of the episode, is it not?
Well, Walker's
The
pants.
sweatpants. Yeah, sweatpants are the highlight.
His
I
gym
mean, and
pants.
blatant product placement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are these total gyms?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
They show the logo like 80 times.
Yo, do you see the logo? I didn't even notice that.
No, dude.
Yeah, there's the logo on there, and Walker's on his Total Gym or whatever, and
He's like,
Trevette's on the Total Gym first,
Yeah.
and they're talking about it, and Walker gets on the Total Gym, and he's about to get on it, and Trevette's like, no, you're recovering. You need to be down here. So he lowers the incline on the Total Gym so that it's less strenuous. And Walker's like, I'm fine. And then he raises it even higher than it was before. So they're showing the flexibility of the Total Gym.
The features set.
Right there.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And then Walker gets on there and Trevette's all like, I got to know, what was it like when you were in a coma? And then Walker basically just makes up a story about some holy light coming down, and it was dark, but then it got warm, and then this light came down and his body was like brought out of the building, and Trevette's like, wow, really? And Walker's like, no. And then the episode ends. 'Cause he got him. He got him so good. So that sums up this episode. We're going to be coming back in a minute, and we'll each be giving our take on Till Death Do Us Part. We'll be rating it on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, which results in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking, complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't you dare go away.
What seems to be the problem here?
Ah, praise be. You paramedics finally made it. Ranger Bob done fell off that there bridge while saving a baby and her mama. All Hercules-like. He pulled him out of that smoking embers of that car or yonder, but he's in a real bad way.
He appears to be out cold, unless he's always like that.
No, sir, he's normally real quiet, but he appears to be unconscious.
Does he have any allergies?
No, sir, he's in perfect health. His only allergy, injustice.
Does he take any medication?
No, sir.
He's an older guy, not even for,
Hell, I don't need none of them pills to get the job done. There's no problem with her. No problem.
Oh, my. Wait 1 second. Now he back out. I do believe he comatose. What can I do to help?
Well, sometimes it helps to talk to unconscious patients about their interests, sports, TV shows, podcasts, and such. Why don't you do that while we ready the gurney?
Oh, Ranger Bob, how can we ever deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger, to the world with you in a coma? Well, podcast listeners, please help Ranger Bob by sharing the pod with a friend or leaving us a kind review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps other Walkerites find this cast. And if you're feeling extra generous, well, come join us on the Patreon or pick up a vintage action figure. That's a figurine. It's like a little doll. You can get them at roundhouseroulette.com. A big thank you to everyone who's helped us power the cast and fuel future shenanigans here at Roundhouse headquarters.
All right. Let's ease him up now while also trying not to mangle his spine.
Ow. Oh.
Oops.
Oh, look out. That car's going to blow.
Run!
We better get back to the show. Welcome back. That advertisement had more action than I think we can handle.
I think there's a lot of Walker hallmarks in this episode, but
I can give the stats up front.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
So we had one true fight with 5 roundhouse kicks in it. So that was that alley fight. We had 2 chases. One was a car chase. One was a horse chase. And 2 explosions. The credits, this must be early because the credits ended at 5 minutes, 31 seconds. Bar name, not applicable. Bad guy, as mentioned before, unconsciousness.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we got a pretty full bingo card here. And, looking at the stats, that's pretty awesome. And I really think it kicked off with a lot of tension and suspense, even though we knew they were never going to kill off Walker. But it just slowed down for me. And there were points where I was kind of looking at my watch. I'm going to give this one a 4.
Okay. Go for it, Bob.
I was kind of in that same ballpark, but I might even take it down one tick. Yeah, the pace was kind of off, and I think the best part about the episode was the CD, honestly.
Yeah.
CD
I did
was
like that.
through and through just like hitting on all cylinders. He had some great lines. It was good to see him there. But as I kind of take a step back from the Walker perspective, I mean, he's not really he's barely even in the episode. So, yeah, I'm gonna drop it down to 3. Not one of my favorites.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a lot of the sort of hallmarks, but definitely not an episode that I'd recommend to someone if they wanted to know about Walker. I will say, lassoing a dude off a horse and fighting some dudes like Batman in an alley, pretty good. Still below average. I will be with Adam and give this one a 4.
Yeah, and the car scene was fun. I mean, and falling off the bridge and the explosions there at the intro was
the explosions there that make no sense. I love that.
Right.
That is true Walker. That gives this episode a roundhouse rating of I can't do math. 3.66 boots to the face. But please let us know what you think on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we're going to spin that roulette wheel and we're going to see what our next episode is. Don't go away. Okay, we're back. You got your fancy wheel there, boy?
Oh, do I ever, son? Bob, you ready to spin this wheel?
Oh, man.
Season 8, Episode 6, The Lynn Sisters.
The Lynn Sisters.
Season 8, Episode 6, The Lynn Sisters.
Original air date, the day before Halloween in 1999. 2 thugs kidnapped the Lynns and forced them to record songs for a bootleg CD.
Nice.
Yeah, sign me up.
A view into the seedy underbelly of digital recording.
In the music industry, I'm kind of excited for this one because we're going to definitely get into some music territory with this. We'll dig into the Lynns, if they're a real group, all that stuff. So
we're in on the Lynns.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Excellent. Well, we hope you'll join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 8, Episode 6, The Lynn Sisters. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and Twitter at RoundhousePod. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Even if it's a bad one, we'll get a kick out of it. Or wherever you get your podcasts, just leave a review. Thanks for listening, and until next time,
may the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.